This is the Grand Revalida, PTOT schools in the Philippines, hosted by yours truly, AJ Adea. Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of the Grand Revalida. This is your host, AJ Adea, and today is a bit special because not only it's the first OT episode of the show, but for the fact it's the month of April and it's OT month. So for all my OT friends, colleagues, and students out there, just one big appreciation for all of you. Thank you for being an extension of healing hands for the patients we treat together here in the Philippines and in other countries as well. And for anyone that is listening and does not know what an OT does, here's a description from the Philippine Academy of Occupational Therapists, and I quote, "The primary goal of occupational therapy is to enable people to participate in the activities of everyday life. Occupational therapists achieve this outcome by working with people and communities to enhance their ability to engage in the occupations they want to, need to, or expected to do, or by modifying the occupation or the environment to better support their occupational engagement." With this quote, with this definition, it's the very definition that is used by the World Federation of the Occupational Therapists. And with that, to kick this off, our next guest is an OT graduate of Cebu Doctors University, from which Cebu Doctors is currently one of the top schools to go to here in the Philippines. So if you're thinking of taking OT one day and you're in the Cebu area or it's not far from you, CDU might be worth a look. Lastly guys, with this long episode ahead of us, I just would like to say that I did try to lessen the time through edits, but I figured if I had to edit so much off from the sake of time, it just really defeats the purpose of this podcast in terms of sharing the whole college experience. But nonetheless guys, our guest did a great job on really sharing her entire OT school experience and really went in depth on explaining things for us and the life lessons she encountered along the way. And for the young lovers out there going through college, you might want to listen. I won't take much of your time anymore. This is episode 4 of the Grand Revalida. Enjoy the episode. Today our guest is from Cebu Doctors University, College of Rehabilitative Sciences, OT department, and I'll be giving the mic to her now so she could introduce herself to you guys.
Hello, everyone. Hi, it's so nice to be in this podcast. And I don't know where you're listening from. I hope you're having a great day. I'm Nathalie, and I graduated from Cebu Doctors University last February 2019. And I'm so excited to just talk and chat with you all.
Thank you for that. I guess before that, why did you pick OT in the first place?
Well, personally, I chose to become an occupational therapist because of the inherent characteristics that I noticed about myself. I'm a person who likes to introspect. I think about my thought process. Maybe you think it's kind of weird, but if you've heard about the 16 personalities, I'm the protagonist, and I actually profile people. It's funny. Maybe this sounds so nerdy and all, but it's actually a really great tool as an occupational therapist. That's actually why I chose to become an occupational therapist.
Did you have any choices besides OT?
Yeah, I actually wanted to become a doctor before. Yeah, just like most people probably. I was enrolled as a backpack student in another college in Cebu. I knew that I had to choose a profession that would become like a routine and, one that would push me to innovate and create for the rest of my life, because I really couldn't envision myself as someone working for a single company, for a decade. I needed to travel and, just view nature and the community.
Oh, wow. That's what OT can bring talaga. Why did you pick Cebu Doctors, given that there's other schools available?
Wow, you know what? That's a funny story. Would it count if I say that I went to CDU because my boyfriend was there?
I guess that's. Are you still the same boyfriend ba now?
We're not together. We were together for 6 years.
Oh wow!
But sadly, he actually was my fiance. Mm-hmm. But we had to separate ways in order for each of us to grow as individuals. Because maybe this would count as relationship advice. I was really young when I started, seeing him. I was 13 and I was in high school.
Uh-huh.
Oh wait, no, not 13, 15 pala. Sorry.
Ala.
I was 15. Oops. I was 15 and he was already in college. He was
Okay.
in CDU. And initially I wanted to be away from him because I didn't want to see him every day, right?
Yes.
I didn't want to be the clingy girlfriend. But then eventually I found myself traveling from that other school to CDU just to play poker on Tuesdays and even on Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
So imagining a person who wasn't really from Cebu, I'm actually from Armagh City,
Okay.
the city of beautiful people. What's up? My peers, they became like family.
Okay.
And I guess you could imagine how things went on from there. Like I got really close to them and I just decided, you know what, why not transfer school?
So
That's why.
that's the first on the podcast transferred because
Wow.
of
Oh my.
transferred because of the love.
Oh yeah. Well, people do silly things when they're in love.
Yes. I think a lot of listeners would agree to that.
Yeah. How about you?
Hey, next question.
The tables have turned.
Let's focus on the guest muna in the schools.
Okay, sorry. I will,
Maybe later.
All right.
Going. I got off track with that. I guess with going to Cebu Doctors and picking that university, what facilities does the university offer that is available for the student use?
The facilities that Cebu Doctors University offers, they actually have an updated learning resource center, or
Mhm.
what other universities call as a library.
Okay.
It's so conducive for learning. There's a booth for students to sleep in.
Oh wow.
They actually have a cafe inside the library, and they have, of course, the computer area where you can research. Um, it's really organized,
Mhm.
especially if you're a student who really loves to study. So the Learning Resource Center is really helpful. They also have SAPRO, which is the Student Affairs office,
Mhm.
and you can just visit them any time of the day. They are really accommodating. We also have a guidance office, a foreign students office, because CDU caters a lot of students from America or from other countries.
Mhm.
We even have students from Korea, India, and the good news about being in Cebu Doctors University is also the dormitory,
Okay.
and it's just within the school. However, I cannot say that the environment is, if you're the kind of person who loves nature,
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but Cebu Doctors University is kind of like a huge air conditioning. But when you're actually inside, it offers really good ventilation,
Mhm.
and there are seats in between the halls and everything. Other than that, we also have swimming pools. We have the gym, the huge volleyball area, and the basketball court, and the canteen offers a lot of variety of food. So I think that's something that you can look forward to.
So there's a lot of facilities really that's available for the students to use. It's not like you don't have
there are.
to go somewhere far to do or get whatever you need.
Yeah, that's right. And there's also like this complex just across Cebu Doctors University.
Mm-hmm.
It has Soul's Coffee, has another study area over there. So there's also dormitories all around the area. So it's really a good place to be in, and it's not really that it's not the traffic. The traffic isn't that bad in Mandaue area.
That's maybe something good to know.
Yes, definitely.
And I guess I just would like to emphasize of how there are other schools in the country, like one being Cebu Doctors, and there's another one Veles, that are making their names with the, let's say, with our course. That you don't necessarily have to go to Manila to find a better education, and
Yeah.
additionally with as you said, you have foreign students, so that that really says something about the university as being well known now, and I think that's really a good sign. The top schools aren't really in Manila.
Yeah, I think that I agree. I agree with what you said completely. We shouldn't base I think the effectivity of the curriculum of the department solely on the board exam.
Yes.
But also, it's something that you can take note of because it's an objective, it's an objective tool
Yes.
for us to really see and check if the students are really absorbing what the teachers are, providing for them.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think there's just one measure. Maybe for those who really want to be in a good school, you can really check the curriculum.
Yeah,
At the same time, to get the feel of the school, because I believe in holistic development. And as a student, you have to know what you need personally, like you as a person individually. Will you grow in that kind of environment? That's really important.
It really sums up the whole idea of na you could go to other schools that are not in Manila or in Luzon specifically, but rather in in Visayas or Mindanao.
Yeah.
Thank you for being able to share with us the facilities. We could move on with the extracurricular activities or events that student from your department and a student from your university could look forward to.
I think it's not just the academic stuff that we look forward to, but also gathering as a university, gathering as a school.
Yes.
So, Cebu Doctors University had a lot of activities right now. We celebrate actually the University Week, and every college actually has a university week. So, if you're part of like the College of Rehabilitative Sciences, we have a university week wherein different levels of that department actually compete with one another. But there's also the intramurals where different colleges now compete with one another, and that's where we have the Mr. CDU, right?
Yeah.
I think you also have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. and Miss University, and I think one of the activities that the students in CDU look forward to is the Alitaya competition. And yeah, that's what I usually join because I was part of the dance team in our school, and it gets really competitive.
And some bragging rights, I guess, among your batch and your college, right?
Yeah, that's right. And for like, we just want to put it out there that Rehab Sciences has won, I would say, and the University Week has been champions for like 3 consecutive years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess on that topic, I think you know him too. Just wanna shout out to Miggy as he was the president during our fourth year for the dance troupe, and he was really active with our dance group within the college. And over the years, his dance org, is the one to be watch and stay for.
Wow, you're always the finishing act.
A shout out to Miguel Aurelia.
Congratulations, man.
I guess continuing with the college week and the intramurals, does your OT org do anything special during the school year as well?
The OT org, well, we usually have advocacy, and aside from the sport events like the usual basketball games and stuff, we usually have advocacy events like best buddies in school. Like we invite kids with Down syndrome, and we actually buddy up with them, and that's actually a really awesome experience for the OTs. And we actually get to spend a day with them. We go to the mall and we buy them food, and it's really a good exposure to the OTs. And aside from that, there's also Psych Week. It's kind of like when we put up all these informative banners or tarp, and it's just like that. We have booths. It happens along the course of the year.
And who organizes that? The student government?
Yeah, the student government and the department.
Okay, that's really nice. I get to be able to do that throughout the year.
Yeah, and it's great because we're really involved in the community. And if there are things that need immediate like action, the good thing about our department is that we really one with the community in Mandaue. We try to respond as much as we can as a school, to help out. For instance, with a crisis that goes on, and those things are not predictable, right?
Yes.
Like during fires and people going through all those um, the flood and stuff like that, calamities.
Mm-hmm.
Our school is really responsive as well to those things.
Wow, that's really good as a university to be able to reach out to the community in terms of, times of need.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to give back. And, as well as it just becomes, the school becomes part of a family in Mandaue
Yeah.
for being able to
Yeah.
help like that. I guess we could break down now with your experiences
Awesome.
throughout your college life. Starting with your school and university, what is your overall experience as a student in terms of the student environment that you went through?
Wow. Okay. For my experience as a student, I think it has a lot to do with your resolve as a person, as a human being, and how you actually see the experiences all around you. Because I have this principle in life where I can't really control what happens all around me, but I can control how I respond.
Yes.
So I think if I talk about the student environment and students in CDU, it's probably similar to like other universities where there are groups, there are cliques, there are the jocks, and I don't know if you have those stereotypes, but
Mm-hmm.
that's actually real in our school.
Mm-hmm.
That you actually just flock with the people that you have the same interests with, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because during the times where we actually need to get together into a mixed group, there's no problem with it as well. It wasn't really a toxic environment, but a lot of my classmates would break down when there were exams that just piling up, and I think if you have a lot of stuff to work on and you're not physically fit or mentally fit, then you would easily break down.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
really being
So
mentally tough.
yeah, I think you really need to develop your emotional and mental stability as a student when you're like in your first year. Of course, it can be a little bit intimidating when you have to deal with all of these things, right? And of course, the students, they want to be understood. As a student, you want to be understood. You want the teacher to be sensitive to your needs. And for the first year, of course, I think they give us a grace period. They're actually really they're sensitive as well with that, with deadlines and such. I think it only becomes toxic again when the teachers don't really communicate. You know, when they give a deadline for this, and another teacher would give a deadline on the same day. I actually experienced having to take a major exam on 3 subjects
all at the same time.
On the same day. Yeah. And that's normal if you're in CDU.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know if this is still accurate, but during my time, I heard that some other departments in our school, they only encourage like one major exam and one minor exam for the same day.
Oh.
So yeah, like that is something that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
But for me, yeah, it actually helped me. It actually helped me manage my time more, and I think one thing that really helped me overcome that obstacle was to know what my learning strategy is.
Yes. That's important.
Yeah, that's really important.
I guess to add, for any incoming students, these things are not something to scare you, but this is something you should look forward for you to prepare in terms of being emotionally, mentally, and physically tough and prepared for it.
Right.
Because it's not scary, because we're speaking to them now. We're having the graduates talk to you now. That Yes, at first it's difficult, as with every year you stepped into. You, I mean, for proper years, looking back for third year, it's the hardest thing. But then when you reach fourth year, third year was easy.
Yeah.
I think what makes you really say that it's difficult is because you still
Mhm.
haven't gone through it, and you still,
Yeah.
it's still a mystery. But
Yeah.
you'll just laugh about it, looking back, like, oh wow, I did it.
Yeah, yeah, that's so great. It's really good that you mentioned that. I think that there's really a significance when it comes to levels in college, like
Mhm.
the first year, second year, third year, because that's how they actually measure the basic knowledge that you already have.
Mhm.
So don't be scared because the things that you need to know when you go to second year,
Mhm.
it's going to be taught in the first year.
Mhm.
So, like, if you're still an upcoming, or you're going to be a freshman, you can actually prepare for that. If you're the type of person who enjoys learning and who loves to be prepared for the battle, like, you can actually look up stuff online. You can check the curriculum; it's already there. And, you can read up on those things. But college is also something to be enjoyed.
Yes.
So don't be too hard on yourself. Just take it a day at a time
And
and
it's
keep learning,
okay. It's
right?
okay to make a
Yeah,
mistake.
yes, it's really okay to make a mistake, and this is just part of your life. It's not your entire life. You
Yes.
have other aspects and spheres in your life to think about as well.
Well, as a student, your whole world would revolve around it, but you
Yeah,
still have to take yourself out of it, and
mm,
still enjoy the little things in life.
yes, that's just one role that you have as a person.
That's good.
Mhm.
For college wise, your overall experience with the college in terms of how you guys during your batch, were they very accommodating, neglectful, or supportive during your time?
Okay, I will answer this question with all honesty, and I would have to speak for my batch. I've
Mhm.
heard comments from my batchmates, and well, we kind of felt like we were an experimental group for
Okay.
our batch. There were a lot of changes in the curriculum that we needed to adjust to,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, the teachers they were also with us along the way. So again, there's the challenge, right? There's that challenge, but we're really grateful. Actually, we're grateful for the teachers who were accommodating and who were so supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would give us extra they would give us extra resources, they would give us stuff to read on, they would give us their notes that help them understand these kinds of topics
Mm-hmm.
easier or faster. And again, they would give us learning decks, just to see how they could teach us more effectively. And I think maybe not every teacher does that, but again, we would like to also do our part, right? We in college we have to have that perspective that we're not there to be spoon fed, but we're there to grow as individuals.
Yes.
And at the same time, we also look to one another to work with one another and not really expect your friend to just you know be with you all the time, but with whatever you can work on together, you do that. Because I think one of the things that also showed that our teachers were really helpful was
Mm-hmm.
there were a few teachers who actually sat with us in coffee shops to talk about certain topics,
Oh wow, that's nice.
especially for Revalida. Yeah, it's really cool. Like they
At
would,
least they help you.
yeah, they actually help us study for our Revalidas, and it's it's really awesome to have those kinds of teachers. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for them and for our college.
I
Yeah.
mean, I
Um,
just sorry. Go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead.
These teachers are actually new graduates, so they actually experience, as they would say, they think that their teachers were harder on them, and they don't want the same thing to happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've graduated and you're planning to become a teacher, be the kind of teacher that is dynamic and nurturing rather than um,
Dictating and mean.
yeah, yeah, I guess, like just there's this term that they say power tripping. Yeah. So let's not do that, guys. To all of the graduates out there, let's just be the nurturing kind. And it doesn't mean that we're gonna give them everything, right?
Yes.
But nurture, not torture.
I just would like to add to that, I guess, for our college as well. We went through, well, not only our batch, but the batch before us and the batch after us. There's really that experimental
Yeah.
or test batch that they say. And
Yeah.
it's good that you pointed out that, with our university as well, the professors really did try to accommodate us with the transition. As with our batch, it was the transitioning to outcome based education. So that was a change for us during fourth year from, just from third year going to the professional year. We had to, it was tough. There was a lot of complaints, yes, from my batch of, being inconsistent, they don't really know how it flows now. Kasi from the third year, it's different now. So, you stating that, the professors or the college really give you guys the time to adjust, to help you accommodate into the program curriculum. That's really a big step, and really making sure that your students get where you want them to be.
Yeah. There were still bumps on the road, especially with Google Classroom. Like, the teachers themselves were still adjusting with how to properly, put the deadlines there and all those other things. But again, if you're gonna do something new, you're gonna expect a learning curve, right?
Yes.
So yeah, but I believe right now they're actually getting the hang of it, the outcome based, learning. So that's really good.
Moving on with the classroom experience in terms of the furnitures, equipments, what's your overall experience with that? And also the structure of your laboratory room. As for OT, I am aware that you guys do a lot of cooking, crafts, and the training that you guys would do for your patients.
Right, the laboratory room. So for CDU, if you're going to be an OT in CDU, there are two laboratory rooms. The main OT lab, which will be in the fourth floor, there we have the standard bathroom. We have kitchen tools. You can actually cook there. There's also a wide array of assistive devices that you need to use, and it gets updated along the way. But I won't say that all of the tools there are updated. We also have access to assessment tools, which is really good. And I heard from some of my co-interns from another university that it was something that they did not have. So it's really good that we, for us in Cebu Doctors University, we are really keen on using assessment tools. And at the same time, of course, there's also that objective assessment. And we can't just rely on the assessment tools themselves, but we actually have moving exams and practical exams solely on those assessment tools and the frames of references for occupational therapists. Our practical exams and our oral exams start since we were in first year. So it's not something to be scared of. It's something that you get used to. And for people as well who are auditory, who are auditory learners, it's an advantage for them because, and visual learners as well. So again, you just need to know what or how you can study effectively. That's really going to register. And I think when it comes to the furniture, there are types of classrooms in CDU. There's the traditional one with a whiteboard and the squeaky chairs, the wooden chairs. And we can't really complain about it. Maybe the ventilation in certain periods of the day. There are times when they transfer us to an auditorium where the room is air conditioned. But if you're really sensitive with heat and all, you can just use the battery operated fan. That's really popular right now.
That really make what the girls have, like make them titas.
Yeah, Like most of the students in CDU have that, walking around with a fan on their face. It's really cute. I think again, you just learn to adjust with your environment. It's not really a big issue, but if you say the tools we have, again, we also have the bathtub to simulate. It's really important for occupational therapists,
Yes.
therapy students, to have practical exams. That's actually the time where we really know how to apply the frames of references that we read on the book. So we talk about a lot theory to application, and that's something that really being worked on right now in CDU, the theory to application part.
I think additional to that, from what I know, you guys go through a very rigorous activity analysis or AA.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's like
it's so
one of
good
the
that you
make or
mentioned
break for you guys during your college that you guys go. Well, for my batch, sila Migi,
Yeah.
that was their headache.
Yeah, activity analysis is like the backbone of occupational therapy because for every activity, even if you say it's just eating, there's a lot of
Yes.
things that you need to look at. You need to look at the structure of the table, the texture, the position of the patient, the
Exactly.
muscles involved, all those things. So, yeah, it's really rigorous.
And additional to the assessment as well, I had this with another interview with UPOT. These equipments are not cheap. They're
Yeah,
very expensive. It's bad when you guys go through inventory that one part of the assessment tool is missing.
yeah, that's true. We haven't tried losing anything, thank God. Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be good if someone were, good for
Yeah,
the
because you would
person.
have to order it online because
Yes.
it's not usually available in the Philippines right now.
Yes, that's true. I guess you touched up upon this during the college, but is there anything you could add? How was your experience with your professors that you have encountered besides the teaching, being able to teach, but also like as as they were as a professor to you guys?
Well, our professors they were really nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's again because they were newly grad and they were really passionate about teaching. Not all of them, not all of them can stay and talk to you, but when they're there, they are present in the classroom. And they have creative and dynamic ways of teaching, not just in PowerPoints, but they really share about their experiences in the clinic. And also, if you're gonna teach, like that's a really effective way to teach. I think what I also appreciated was the note taking. We spent a lot of time in learning documentation, and I think I would have to refer to my internship experience in veteran in Manila because I received an award for best in documentation.
Oh wow! Congrats.
No, it's not to brag or anything, but I really owe that to the school. I really owe that to the school. At first, my classmates were complaining, why is our notes so long? Why is it so detailed? Why do they pick on so many things? And I think that's what a good teacher does. You know, you correct so that the student is not going to make the same mistake. And when I stepped into veteran, it was easier for me to adjust to different formats of writing the documentation or the notes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're also going to work abroad, documentation is really key. You can't get paid
Yes.
unless you document the work properly.
That is correct.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really important. So when you're studying as an occupational therapy student, really work on your documentation as well.
I think with you touched up on your internship with veterans, it would be good to ask you now on what's your overall experience with your internship in terms of the deckings of the clinics in hospital among your batch and the selection of centers that are available for your university.
Wow, okay. Before I get into veterans, I'll talk about my internship experience in Cebu, which was the majority of my internship experience. The decking was, I think it was equally distributed. Most of the students would have two rotations in pediatric centers, two rotations in the hospital, two rotations in the CBR setting. It was the job of the clinical coordinator to make sure that all of the students get experience from these kinds of settings. And for the availability of the centers, there's a lot of centers that's affiliated with the Doctors University. So and it's growing, and it's still growing. And I think it's really good that our clinical coordinator continues to look for new centers, especially centers that offer special teaching on approaches or theories like sensory integration or behavioral therapy. I think there are hospitals and centers that they really focus on these modes of therapy so that the population that they cater to will really receive the appropriate kind of therapy that's fit for them. And I think personally, I had a really great experience in veterans. I didn't really think that I would enjoy it that much, but the greatest thing my experience in veterans was really the freedom of using occupation as a means of therapy. I had this patient who was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and my mentor, he really trusted me, or my CI, my clinical instructor really trusted me to provide the needed therapy, and it was upon my discretion. I let him dance. Because one thing that I also learned from CDU is our interventions that we provide to our patients must be research-based. This is actually something that I also appreciated before going into the internship phase. They actually made us research 10 journals for every setting, and we couldn't use the same journal that our classmate was using.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really crazy. We had so much paperwork to do before the internship, and we read so many articles. They encouraged us to read 100 articles. Yes, before the internship. So yeah, I was really able to apply those things in veterans as well. And you know what? For a person, I would not, as a student or as an occupational therapist, I would not consider myself as someone who is good in physical dysfunction or those kinds of disorders. But you know what? Because of the practical application of it, it's also awarded both in physical dysfunction and that. I know that to some, it's just a certificate. But I think that the clinical instructors really saw that I wasn't just using the same modalities that were available in the hospital, but I really wanted to tailor fit the intervention based on the client. And as an occupational therapist, that's the most important thing. I also have this co-intern that he made his patients drive, and we were cooking all the time. That's really the fun in occupational therapy. Like you really get to do actual occupation work in the center in the hospital.
Were you the best intern vet then for your batch?
No, I was not. I was not. I wasn't the best intern of our batch. It's not really about who's the best or anything. I just mentioned those things because I didn't see myself as someone who was capable of that. But when other people actually see it as it translates into your work, and I think it was also the environment that I was in veterans.
Yes.
The decking wasn't that toxic. Even the notes, it wasn't toxic at all. Maybe because we were 10, right? In veterans, we had to do inventory and other things. But
yes.
and also, yeah. We had so many activities there, right?
Oh my god. Good times though, good times.
Yeah, there were so many activities and the reporting. But you know what? I really enjoyed every bit of it because of the people that I was with also. and you really cannot discredit that. If you're going to go into internship, if you're listening to this and you're an upcoming intern, really enjoy your internship experience and just get to know the people that you're with. Don't be an island
Yeah.
because you really need to work together, right?
Yeah, I guess
You really
even
work
from
together.
from someone from Cebu docs, you really have to be friends with people here in Manila
That's
because
right. Yeah.
you never know that just very friend might take you to places to Baguio or La Union.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah.
Because I know there's one person you and I know that does that. That would go
um,
on like trips with their co-interns,
oh
and
yeah, do you want to mention him
I
really?
think he's part of the episode.
He's really, but you know what? I'll just shout out, Leb, I miss you, man. I miss you. See you in Manila. I'm gonna be visiting soon after this whole quarantine, and yeah, maybe I'll get to see you too.
Hopefully, he'll hear that for sure. He's one of the guys that I talk to in terms of the podcast. The people that I consult with in terms of how to run this podcast.
Awesome, and follow him. Like
Yeah, he's
subscribe on his
vlogging.
YouTube channel.
He's funny.
Yes, he's
Good friends of
awesome.
mine too.
Yeah.
I
Oh man.
guess besides veterans, in terms of the internship, what do you think was your most memorable during that time in terms of your learning?
In terms of my learning,
Yes, and
wow,
molding you with your occupational therapy mindset.
wow. I don't think that there's just one setting that really helped, kind of like cement my identity as an occupational therapist. Personally, I would want to be more involved in the community-based rehabilitation setting. With that, it's important to be well-rounded um, as a pediatric OT, as a physical dysfunction OT, and even in the psychological part. One of the things that helped me, I think I'll just mention the different settings that did. Being in Cebu Doctors University Hospital also helped deal with the limitations of the environment, and it really challenged to be more resourceful with what was available in the hospital, because not all hospitals have the luxury of, having a cooking area. If you could contrast Veteran Hospital and City Doctors Hospital in their rehab setting, they're focused more on the physical activities. And so as an occupational therapist, you need to be resourceful. And I think that really pushed me past my creative side. If you need to print cue cards, you print all of those things just to simulate in the limited or in the short area or in the small area that you have. And also with community-based rehab setting, I learned to be more sensitive about the clients, because it's good to consider that not all of the families that are there are familiar with what you are talking about. So
Yes.
language is really important, and how you explain these activities, what's the significance of these activities in giving home instruction programs. That's really one of the most important things if you are to be a pediatric occupational therapist.
Mhm.
The parents need to know why you're doing this, how is this helping their child, and you need to communicate it in a way that is simple and for them to understand it. Don't recommend activities that they need to buy still, especially in the CPR setting.
Yes.
So yeah, if you could give them DIY stuff, that would be great.
I guess it's good to include. I mean, that's a good point for the incoming interns out there.
Yeah.
The importance of being able to really explain things in a manner that anyone on the street could understand.
Yeah.
Not how you would understand it in your classroom settings, but to
Yeah.
really tell them in a very very simple but straight to the point type is a really good advantage,
Yeah.
because just the simply talking about let's say for the spine, for the spondylolisthesis and stuff like that. It's really, using the Oreo as an example of, of your spinal column to get your message across. That's like really one good thing.
Yeah, using illustration.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, that's good.
I think down to our last two. What are your tips and tricks or advices that you could share with us for anyone that's thinking of becoming an OT someday, and as well as your advices for the current students out there and for the interns out there that could, that you could share with them during your experience?
Wow.
I guess start na lang muna for the incoming students.
Okay. So for the incoming students, you know what? You need to be sure. I think it's really good to be sure. What I mean is you need to be sure that you want to become an occupational therapist. I know that you don't really know that right away because I have a lot of friends who shift from one course to another.
Yes.
And yes, you pick up things along the way, but you can actually spare yourself the whole journey. Nothing is really wasted. But again, if you think about it in a practical perspective, and where your money goes, where your experience goes, and where your time goes, it's really smart and wise to be sure about the course that you're going to take, because you still have time, right? You still have time to research on it. Read up on occupational therapy. You can actually look at videos online on what an occupational therapist really does. You think that that's something that you can see yourself doing for the rest of your life, then really go for it. Because when you're in that, you're gonna go back to your why. And if you don't have a solid why, you're gonna doubt along the way. Because I tell you, no course is easy. Because if you're gonna learn something new, it's gonna become a challenge for you, right?
Mhm.
Anything that's new, you need to adjust and all these other things. So don't say that I'm just gonna change to another course because this is too hard for me. This is really for those that really aspire to become successful. And I think that success is really when you find something that you love doing in your life, you're passionate about it, and you get to, do it for the rest of your life. That's what success is. It's not really about the monetary gain that you have from it, like the money or all these other things. Don't go into a course that for the sake of getting a buck or earning much and stuff. So I think that's my first advice. Find out your why for taking the course, and when you're already in it, remind yourself day to day and find your passion. If you're starting to get burnt out as an OT, find the fun in it again. And I think for the second point that I want to make, I learned from occupational therapy that as a person, we are composed of different spheres, right? We have mental, psychological, emotional, physical, and even spiritual. If you're going to go into college, that's really the time where your character is going to be formed. From high school, like maybe some of us, we're so housed in, or like we're so guarded by our parents, like you're not allowed to do this or that. And when you get to college, you have the freedom, right? You finally have the freedom to do whatever you want. And maybe if you're like me, I went to college in a different city, so there's really a challenge of independence, and you need to make the right choices. So think about think about the activities that you are involving yourself in, not just in your role as a student, but your totality as a person. If you invest in these areas of your life, your mental health, your psychological health, your emotional health, I think what really helped me get through college was really the community, the church community that I was a part of. And I was just surrounded with so much support, not just by, boyfriend and girlfriend stuff. I went through that. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that sometimes you get lost in your own world, that you actually like feed off of each other.
Yes.
So don't do that. Like don't be so attached and needy with one another, but give yourself room to grow. Maybe this is an advice again for relationships. Have group dates and stuff like that. Just enjoy doing things together, not just being with one another. And I think the last thing that I would say, it's really important to know who you are. At the core of who we are, our personality, our character, what we believe in. And you can actually take exams online. There's this Myers-Briggs type indicator test that has 16 personalities and even the DISC assessment. So I believe that everyone can become a leader in their own way. It doesn't mean that you have to lead a community or you need to lead yourself first before you can actually be used in the community or in the hospital. And a good leader is a good follower. So, yeah, I think those are the advices that I can share to the students. It's really general, and I believe that occupational therapy is a calling. Occupational therapists are really involved in a person's life. Like, it's not just providing medical care or interventions, but we really get to know our clients and we become sensitive to all of their needs. And that's really important.
Wow. That's really good. You got some really good points.
Wow.
Being able to really know who you are as a person, the relationship advice from an ate.
Unsolicited relationship advice.
I mean, hopefully for the students out there, you had really good points, and that's really something to think about going on and moving forward beyond your beyond your college, beyond your profession, and just really searching on who you really are, and just in not trying to be somebody that you're not.
Yeah, that's right.
I think with the last question that we have, the ultimate question. What is OT in your own words without the textbook references?
Based on my point of view.
Yes.
Well, I believe that, again, occupational therapy, you could say that occupational therapy is a profession that promotes the fullness of life through creative and innovative ways to develop the holistic spheres of the human being. So, again, it's a profession that promotes the fullness of life through creative and innovative ways to develop the holistic spheres of the human being. And it's really a collection of the human being. Like, as an occupational therapist, it's really important to see the client as a person. They're actually, I know it doesn't really make much sense.
No, I mean, I guess we get used to seeing the client as with the problem that they have.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Thank you for clarifying that. So we don't just say that, we don't just cure the disease. We don't actually cure, but we actually enable the person. And we see them as the experts still in who they are. So that's our perspective as occupational therapists. We don't claim to be the experts of anything, but we enable and facilitate the clients, and we work and collaborate with them and their families to bring them to fullness of life. That's what occupational therapy is for me.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. That ends our interview. Do you have any social sites that you want people to follow? I was just made aware that you're really active with church lately. So if you want to share that with our listeners.
Of course. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me and my friend right here. We're having so much fun just talking. I want to encourage you guys to, again, get to know yourself more. And what better way than to go back to the one that created you, right? For me, it really helped me. It really helped me in my personal growth as I dove into my spiritual growth. And and I really just want to mention a shout out to Crossroads Church Cebu. follow us on Facebook, on Instagram. It's at C4 Crossroads and at C4 Gravity. And we're also on Zoom. We actually have one tomorrow or every Saturday.
Oh, wow.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we have online services every Sunday. We're also on YouTube. Just follow us again, C4 Crossroads. And yeah, maybe I'll give you the link.
Yeah, I'll just make sure to post that on YouTube and Facebook as well.
Yes.
Then,
thank you so much.
no problem. About for your personal accounts, is that something you want people to follow? If they have any questions?
Yeah, sure. I'm on Facebook, Nathalie Bernal. I'm on Instagram at Nat in the Word. I'm also on Twitter, the same tag at Nat in the Word. And we're actually thinking about putting up a vlog soon.
Oh,
but
wow.
I'll just keep you posted for that.
Sure. I'll make sure to get your details and have that posted as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey guys, thank you so much for reaching up to this point. This ends our episode for today. I hope you can come back again and listen to the other episodes coming up. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share this and other upcoming episodes to anyone that you know that can benefit from this. And that's it guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Stay at home. Stay safe.